Finance Minister today presented Modi 3.0's budget for Janata Janardhan, from tax benefits to big bang boost for infrastructure and investment. The government focused on Gharib, youth, Annadata and Nari. But the opposition led by Rahul Gandhi has dismissed it. They are calling it a band-aid for bullet wounds. It's nothing short of a bonanza budget for the middle class, with Modi government giving it a mega tax exemption. The Modi government, in fact, is calling it a dream budget, the biggest since the year 2005. The finance minister declared that under the new tax system, those earning up to 12 lakh would not be obliged to pay taxes, while also rehauling the tax slabs to significantly lower middle class taxes. Another key feature was focus on infra growth, which propels economic activity and leads to job creation in the long run. The finance minister announced an outlay of 1.5 lakh crore in 50-year interest-free loans to the states. The government also made several announcements for Bihar, including setting up of a Makhana board, financial support for the Western Kosi Canal, and support for enhancing the capacity of IIT Patna. Centre will also be setting up a National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management in Bihar, besides facilitating greenfield airports in the state to meet future needs. But opposition has dismissed the budget as disappointing. Rahul Gandhi alleged that the government is bankrupt of ideas, while allied DMK dismisses it as just an election budget that has ignored the South. Let's open up the debate and let's go across to our guests. We're joined by Syed Zafar Islam, BJP spokesperson. We have Krishna Hegde with us, Shiv Sena spokesperson. Vivek Bansal, Congress leader, joins us, along with Brijesh Kalappa, lawyer and political analyst. Anish Gawande, NCP SP spokesperson. Akhil Chandana, partner, direct taxes, Grand Thornton Bharat. Thank you very much for joining us. Syed Zafar Islam, let me begin with you, because the opposition is not impressed. Opposition says this is a Chunavi budget focusing on Bihar because of the elections that are going to take place in the state. And as far as the relief for the middle class is concerned in terms of taxes, a lot more could have been done. And nobody's talking about the unemployed. That's the criticism.
I think as far as opposition is concerned, they have always made this kind of criticism. They are always critical about every budget presented by the ruling party. Since 2014, we have seen that whatever budget you present, they will criticize it, they will never appreciate it. Even if you bring world to their feet, they will still be very critical about it. So we are not overly concerned about what opposition is saying. We are more concerned about what the people of this great country feels. I think there is jubilant atmosphere all over the country. People are extremely happy. Middle class is very happy. The working class is very happy. Those who have got the relief in income tax, they are extremely happy. Taxpayers are happy. Their family is happy. So is the overall middle class is happy. And all the decision which has been made with the primary focus, with four focus, which is very, very important, that Gyan, which we have often said, the Gharib, the poor and marginalized section of society is a paramount importance for us while taking any policy decision, while drafting budget. Second is the Annadata, youth.
So you're saying you've taken into account everyone, the marginalized community, the youth, the farmer, the women. But are you dismissing all the reactions that are coming in from the opposition as just political?
If you can just recollect what they had said in July when the budget was presented, they were saying that nothing has been given to middle class. I can give you all the videos. They should have given some relief in the income tax. Yeah. Nobody on the street was even talking about relief of 10 lakh. Forget about 12 lakh. Nobody was even talking about relief of 10 lakh. Even some people, I heard all the people who are expecting, even Kejriwal and the opposition leader, that from 7 it should be made 8 or 9.
Okay.
At most, some people had said 10 lakh. Here, it has been a big surprise.
Okay, let me bring in our other panelists now. Vivek Bansal, everybody is happy. The working class is happy. The salaried people are happy. Women are happy. Farmers are happy. Youth happy. Only the opposition is unhappy. How do you respond? Mr. Vivek Bansal, can you hear? Okay, all right. Let me take that across to Brijesh Kalapa. Brijesh Kalapa, how do you respond to what you just heard from Syed Zafar Islam that everybody is happy except for the opposition?
No, opposition's job is to criticize, but one can't say that, look, the opposition is making a statement without any basis, because let's look at the facts as they are. Now, as you know, there is a falling GDP, and even the deficits have been increasing. What was projected, about 4-5 years ago, that the deficit should be somewhere in the region of about 3%, is today being touted. Well, it is 4.8% as being something which is extraordinary. So I think this is something which the government must look deep within itself as to why this is happening. When Mr. Jaitley was saying that, look, 3% is the kind of deficit that we are looking at. But today they are grappling with a deficit of 4.8%, and one, and two, what is the relationship with the dollar? The dollar's value is increasing while the rupee's value is falling. What had the Prime Minister said with regard to that? What are the steps being taken to ensure that the stability of the rupee is protected? Now, these are the important questions. Now, of course, Dr. Manmohan Singh has just passed away. And then there was a huge, some kind of memory for him and memorial for him, and people across the board were speaking very highly of Dr. Manmohan Singh. So, perforce the government has said, okay, let's do something extraordinary to, somehow lure back the middle class to the BJP fold, and they have today expanded the area during which, people are to pay taxes, and therefore 12 lakh is today the upper limit. So that is of course a salutary thing, and it's good. But what alongside, where is the job creation? Because the Prime Minister in the very first election, he said that we'll create 2 crore jobs. If 2 crore jobs had been created by the Prime Minister for the last 11 years, how many jobs would have been created? Okay. So these Chunavi kind of things, to say that, look, and you've seen the focus on Bihar today. The focus on Bihar is extraordinary. Why is so much focus on Bihar being given? Because there is an election. Okay. Now, if the Prime Minister is very serious, or the Finance Minister is very serious about improving the lot of the budget of the economy, then surely these kind of freebies, which he's been speaking about, graveties and so on and so forth. Okay, let
me go across to our other panelists as well. Let me take the first reaction, and then I'll come back to you. So Krishna Hegde, is the government only hiding behind the massive tax reliefs given? Because Brijesh Kalapa believes that one should talk about the deficit, one should talk about the changing situation in terms of the dollar, and most importantly, unemployment.
See, I will burst the opposition bubble by only one statement. Now you have no tax till the income of 12 lakh rupees. And in 2005, during the Congress regime, it was 1 lakh rupees. When the Congress regime ended almost in 2013, it was 2 lakh rupees. So what we have given the people is 6 times more than what they had given the people at that time. And still they are criticizing. I don't understand this. Over that, it is not only about the income tax rebate, but also the slab-wise rebate, which the Honorable Prime Minister and the Finance Minister have suggested. Secondly, if you are talking about the Dhan Dhanya Yojana, you are talking about the Makhana Board, you are talking about the procurement of pulses.
But that he's saying is Bihar specific.
About making IIT,
a lot has been announced for Bihar.
For farmers. How can it be Bihar? This is for the entire country. If urban development funds have been increased to 1 lakh crore rupees, this is not only for Bihar, it is for the entire country. So, and similarly, if Indian Post have to be developed as a logistics organization, this is for the entire country. So similarly, I can list out almost 25 such points where, things are done for the entire country, but what the opposition is looking at only criticizing when they have themselves done nothing for the people.
Okay, we have Vivek Bansal as well on the broadcast now. Vivek Bansal, Syed Zafar Islam saying that last year the opposition kept saying middle class ko kuch nahi mila, tax relief nahi diya. This time that it has been given and it's a massive tax relief, the opposition is changing or rather shifting the goalpost.
We are not shifting the goal. We are just, there are so many issues need to be addressed which have been left unaddressed. We are talking about unemployment. We are talking about minimum price for the farmers produce. That has not been addressed. Mr. Jagdish Singh Dadwal is there on Anshan on the border. That issue is also, you know, unaddressed. This rising inflation, where are we? Has that been addressed? How they would bring down the prices when we talk of the common man and when we talk of the lower middle class? How are their misery is going to be alleviated? Thirdly, then the capital expenditure has not been increased. We are having a target of Viksit Bharat. We are having a target, and economic growth is just targeted at an average growth rate of 6.3 or 6.4, whereas the target should be, if we at all really mean business in this, that we have to make our country into a developed country. The target should be barely by any means not less than 8.5. So that is economy is stagnant. Dollar value of rupee per se dollar is coming down every day.
Okay.
And you remember what our Honorable Prime Minister used to say in 2014, that he used to just lampoon the UPA government and being so critical about it that our international economic heft is coming down.
Okay.
What is happening? No.
Okay, Syed Zafar Islam, please counter that. It's a band-aid. It's a band-aid for the bullet wound.
Well, let me give me some 2-3 minutes to respond to everyone's question. First of all, those who are saying that it is a political move and it is for Bihar or for that matter for any other state, Delhi or any other state, they must remember we had the opportunity in January to make this kind of announcement. We didn't, because everybody said that despite the election, the Honorable Prime Minister didn't do anything to lure the voters. We didn't do that. We had the opportunity in July, full-fledged budget. We could have presented there. We could have given this relief there, but we didn't. Even though Maharashtra, another election was there. All I'm trying to tell you that it is only the opposition which make this kind of claim and criticism. They know the reality that it is the Bharatiya Janata Party's government. This NDA government. We prioritize what is important for the nation. When we say that Viksit Bharat, what does Viksit Bharat mean? What is the intention of the Prime Minister to make our country a developed nation? For developed nation, what is important? To have a poverty-free country. That is what the Honorable Prime Minister is saying, that everyone should have a disposable income in their hand. They are providing every possible facilities to the poor and marginalized section of the society, be it gas connection, be it electricity connection, be it the water connection, be it food delivery in their home, and then many other benefits they are getting purely because it is important for a Viksit. There is a country, a developed nation.
Okay. So let me take a reaction from Anish and then Brijesh Kalappa. Anish, Mr. Islam is saying, there's election happening all the time in the country. It's not right to link it to elections in Bihar and call it a Chunavi budget. There's something for everyone in the budget.
So what I'd like to start off by saying is that this has been a better budget than many that we've seen in the recent past. So this is truly a good budget, and it's an NDA budget. So I'd really like to thank Krishna Hegdeji and all the NDA allies for ensuring that Nirmala Sitharaman ji has put a smile on the faces of millions across the country in a very long time, after a very long time today. I want to highlight a few things right over here. The first is that in many ways, this is not a budget that goes that extra mile. Although it has all the ingredients necessary to ensure that the budget takes care of every single situation, the income tax cut should have come after, or rather should have come before the capital gains tax cut or the cut in corporate taxes. You're seeing a reversal, right? So today when you put more disposable income in the hands of people, where are they going to spend that disposable income? On Meesho, on Amazon, on products that are not made in India. And what are the ways in which we're going to ensure that manufacturing, which has seen a major slump in the country, is going to actually pick up? What are the ways in which we're actually going to rethink the global tailwinds that we're seeing? We're looking at a global recession. I was really expecting a big ideas budget this year. I was really hoping that the economic survey set the tone. It emphasized that this is not just India's problem, but a global problem. And we thought we would see more decisive action. An income tax cut makes for great headlines. But what follows after, the vision that's necessary for what follows after, was something that was unfortunately missing.
So not all in the opposition are extremely critical about the budget. Since we're talking about income tax and relief for the middle class, Brijesh Kalpa, before I come to you, I want to quickly go across to Akhil Chandra, partner direct taxes, Grant Thornton Bharat. Akhil Chandra, what does this mean for the Aam Aadmi? Has it really put a smile on the faces of the Aam Aadmi in the long term? Is this really going to increase or rather boost consumption, their purchase power and more money in the hands of the Aam Aadmi now?
I think surely this will have long-term impact and will have a lot of disposable income. Let me share some facts with you, the numbers with you. The people who have income up to 12,75,000 now they don't need to pay the taxes. And if you ask me how many people are there of such kind, 85% of the individual taxpayers are tax-free now. I think that's a bold. This is my 17th year in my profession where I've been analyzing the budgets. This is the government has taken such a bold step, and the purpose of taking that step is to give more disposable income in the hands of the people, so that the increase domestic consumption will happen, which is a requirement as we've seen in the yesterday's economic survey. Liquidity. Domestic consumption is a need of an hour, and the government has given a lot of disposable income in the hands of the people. Just to give you a perspective, the people earning 12,75,000, they're saving 83,200 rupees every year, which is 7,000 per month in the hands of the people, more in the hands of the people. And the people earning to 30 lakh rupees, and if they're following new tax regime, they're saving 1,14,400. Again, a big chunk of money coming to them, which will give a lot of impetus to the economic growth. And and there are many steps which government has taken, not on these, but on the simplicity, inclusivity, and sustainability while fostering the economic growth. I think that's a theme they followed, and that was what the people are looking for. And the bigger fears which people had where the government did not touch. There's no talk about inheritance tax. There's no talk about wealth tax. There's no talk about super rich tax, which we have been hearing for last few years.
Right.
But the government not even touched that. So this is a very welcoming budget, I can tell you, and has actually given.
So, but are you giving it a thumbs up only from the perspective of the relief given to the middle class, or are you taking into consideration the other parameters that the panelists were also highlighting?
I think obviously it's a middle class focus budget. It's a pragmatic approach the government has taken. But overall, if you ask me, not touching these inherit tax or there's no change in the capital gains, no wealth tax, and there's a lot of policy impetus which government has come out with. There's a lot of simplicity in the tax provisions. TCS, if you talk about TCS, they've increased the limit from on remittance under LRS, which is liberalized revenue scheme, from 7 lakh to 10 lakhs. And for education purpose, if you are remitting the money for higher education of your children or whatever, there's no TCS. So I think government has come forward and wants to give a lot of liquidity in the hands of the people.
Okay.
And done away with this, TCS on some goods.
Okay, let me go across to Brijesh Kalpa on that. A bold move. Government has ensured more money in the hands of the people. Isn't that what people were waiting for the past couple of years in terms of relief?
No, let me again state that this is, I think, overestimating what is likely to happen. Because we have been seeing that, the people, the kind of people who have been exempted from income tax have been increasing over the last few budgets. And what started off, I think, in the UPA time, I think at 5 lakh has now been enhanced and it has gone up to 12 lakh.
Yes.
So this is a continuing feature, and I can assure you that in times to come, there will be an occasion where, people up to the extent of 20 lakh will be exempted. And this is something which has to happen, because if America today has exempted income tax completely, then I think this is the way forward. But after having said that, I just heard my dear friend, Mr. Zafar Islam saying that, this is not a Chunavi issue and so on and so forth. See, in 24, there was the issue that the budget was mainly an Andhra budget. This year, it is a Bihar budget. Perhaps the year after that, maybe I think if there are elections in UP, I'm not sure of the dates, but I think it will be a UP budget. So I think this is a constant thing that Mr. Modi has been doing, that as and when there is a state focus which is coming. Today, I think, whether it's airports, whether it's, Makhana, whether it's, I think there were over 60 mentions of Bihar. So one could easily be confused whether it was the Indian budget or the Bihar budget being presented in the Indian parliament.
Indian budget or Bihar budget?
As far as this kind of thing is happening, I think this is...
Okay, you're saying more than a Indian budget or a Vikasit Bharat budget, it sounds like a Bihar budget. I'll take reactions from Zafar Islam and yes, I'll come to you, Krishna Hegde, Zafar Islam and Anish. I have to take a very short break. Stay on with us. Our guests are shifting focus back to the budget, although the Home Minister also pointed out how the opposition does not want to see the relief that has been given to the middle class. Anish, your comments.
I think the Home Minister has made the point that all of us have been making, which is that this is an election-oriented budget that unfortunately does not address the other questions in the room. Revenue receipts are down by 40 crores. The fiscal deficit is at 4.9% instead of at 3%, as pointed out earlier. The real GDP growth is 6.5% and the nominal GDP growth rate is around 10%, when our real GDP growth rate should have been 8%. We have FII outflows in a market that is seeing institutional investors leaving the market, but no changes to capital gains tax to ensure that more domestic investors are going to enter the market. And finally, you have promises like 120 new airports when the ones they built 5 years ago are not even operational. So I think the fine print beyond the 12 lakh rupee number that is becoming a headline today needs to be studied more carefully, and this government must take constructive criticism on this matter. They should have changed corporate tax rates after changing income tax rates so businesses could adapt. They should have ensured that capital gains tax rates were reconsidered in a budget like this, and they should have had the sense to ensure that people who are trying to do their best for an economy that is facing a global crisis can have the best minds in the room for it.
Mr. Islam, quickly.
See, I'm really surprised. Who told him that the government was targeting 3% fiscal deficit? And it was 4.9%, and we actually, the revised estimate suggests that the fiscal deficit is 4.8% as against the budget estimates of 4.9%. Even then, the street was not expecting even 4.4% what the budget estimate suggests. The street was expecting 4.5%, and we have gone beyond that to maintain the fiscal discipline, fiscal prudence, and even then we given bonanza to the common man on the street. So if somebody is making this kind of statement, they must also understand from there they are getting those kind of information which nobody is talking, except with the exception of this gentleman, Anish Ji. I have not heard from anyone that the government was targeting 3% in this budget. No, so we are talking about pre-COVID period and now the post-COVID period. You have to differentiate between these two periods, my dear friend. COVID is something which is exceptional. Period which once in a century which any government has faced. So it is very unfair to make this kind of statement and put the government in the dock. Having said that, we have done, you have to understand the government objective. Government objective is to bring inclusive development. Government objective is to bring accelerated growth. Government objective is to bring, to empower people on the street. Common man on the street. Government's objective is to bring rationalization income tax. Your government objective is to reforms like tax reforms which they announced, urban development reforms, then many other reforms which they have listed in the budget. So there are many important reforms which has been undertaken, and these all will culminate in what? They will all spur growth, which all of us are aspiring. If there is a growth momentum, definitely you will have more income, disposable income in the hands of the people, and you will have better, what is the ultimate objective of Viksit Bharat, that should not be any poverty and everybody should be...
Okay, now before I take a counter from Brijesh Kalappa, I want to quickly go across to Mr. Hegde. This massive relief for the taxpayers is not something that the opposition is opposing, but the opposition is also highlighting other parameters that they think should have been included or talked about, which is not happening, and the government is only gloating and talking about the massive relief for the taxpayers. Hiding behind that is what the opposition is saying. Also, do respond to what Brijesh Kalappa earlier said. that this is a Chunavi budget.
See, first of all, we are focusing on the farmers, on the youth, the women. We are also focusing on the middle class. Apart from that, on infrastructure development, whether it's nuclear energy, building more airports, artificial intelligence, UPI, insurance sector, health sector, and whatnot. So this is not a Chunavi budget. It's a budget for everybody. It's a budget for Viksit Bharat. It is a budget which takes the economy to a $5 trillion economy. And I think the opposition here is missing the point. It's not about only the middle class, but the entire country, and taking the country forward to 2047, which is the dream of the Honorable Prime Minister. And I think this is a budget of continuity, a budget of change, a budget for India to look forward to.
Right. This is what earlier perhaps Mr. Chandra was also trying to point out, that this is going to be a game changer. But amidst the political commentary that we are hearing, Mr. Chandra, do you believe the concerns raised by the opposition are something that the government needs to take up seriously, or is this just a political face-off at the moment and it will die down?
See, I will not get into the political.
Yeah, not the statements, the suggestions.
So my suggestion is, everything happens, in a phased manner. This is the much needed, step which is required to get more liquidity in the hands of the people. Domestic consumption was very much required. Obviously, unemployment is something which government has to look into, because if you ask me, if they have to become a developed economy by 2047, they have to grow 8% every year, with investment ratio of 35% of GDP, and for that they need to have 80 lakh employment till 2030. Lot of investment need to happen on the emerging technologies like AI, biotechnology, and they need to MSME they've come out with lot of again benefits, and there's a package which government has announced. The focus is there. More structural reforms, deregulation, and then the government has made a lot of policy changes, policy impetus, I can say, to make things more regularized and making ease of working in India, better. So these are the things, and as I said, everything happened over the years in the phased manner. But these are the things which government should look into to become Viksit Bharat by 2047.
Like you say, everything happens with time, but I believe the opposition will remind the government it's already been 10 years, Brajesh Kalapa.
Yeah, see, the point is this, that if exports are to be pushed forward, and given the fact that the rupee is very much weak as against the dollar, what are the tangible steps taken to improve exports? Merely by saying, speaking about exports doesn't help matters. For instance, now there is now going to be a Makhana board, right? Now, is Makhana the only thing? Across the country, sericulture is now suffering. What has the government done with regard to sericulture? For instance, I come from Karnataka, and Karnataka produces the largest amount of silk. And today we are being cannibalized by China. Now, steps like this, how to protect silk industry in Karnataka or in India, these are the things one would have thought about, given the larger scenario. And the fact is that the government, throughout in the budget, before the budget, even after the budget, is not addressing the elephant in the room, which is why are so many HNIs, high net worth individuals, leaving the shores of the country and leaving India. 22 lakh at last count, and this is something which the government has been speaking about. What are the steps being taken to contain this drift from India? How do you bring back these people? How do you ensure that the HNIs remain in India? You can't now say, I don't think you can afford to call the HNIs Pakistanis and go to Pakistan, because this is now, I think, overused. So please address the elephant in the room.
Okay, address the elephant in the room. Zafar Islam also, just adding to what Brajesh Kalapa was saying earlier about Karnataka, another reaction that has come in from the DMK is that South has been ignored in the budget, but also do respond to the point of HNIs made by Mr. Kalapa.
See, I mean, it's very difficult to make this kind of a statement, and it's very unfair to make this kind of statement that if people have disposable income and they are looking for a different country for education, for something worthy for family consideration, and a small fraction of the society is actually fraction of the population is going there, then that should not should not become a concern for any government. Yes, if it is a concern, we have always made things easy for the people of India so that they remain here and work and be productive here. But you will always have people going from one country to another. I mean, a very small population, if it's going, then you can't stop them from going, because at the end of the day, they have aspiration, and if their aspiration is getting met somewhere else, they should pursue it. We are not becoming a bottleneck for them. Having said that, it's very small fraction of the population which is going. We're not even in 0.00000 kind of a population, and Congress parties and
right. You know, some reports also suggest that
it is not
there has been a significant decrease if you compare it to previous years.
We have some restrictive measures like TCS. No, I'm saying that they have also put some restrictive measures like TCS to discourage people from going abroad.
Okay.
But still, you can't stop them from going abroad. If they are willing to go, then they are happy to be allowed. Having said that, let me again, there are a lot of emphasis. In fact, there are 4 growth engines which the government has spoken about today.
All right.
The agriculture, the second growth engine is export. The third engine is there are 3-4 engines the government has spoken, and agriculture happens to be one of them, besides innovation, investments, etc. So it is very unfair again on part of Kalappaji to say that we have not focused on export.
All right. I'm running out of time, Zafar Islam, so I'll wrap up the debate. It was a great detailed discussion. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.